You know, girl.
What is going on, guys? It is me, A2 Gaming, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. And for today, I'm going to be doing a weapon review of the Trespasser sidearm. I was lucky to get this weapon from a exotic special engram. It was the only one I had, and I was really lucky to get it. So let's get into the review. So, to review this weapon, we're going to compare it to the Dregs Promise sidearm because it is an exotic sidearm and it's the only form of comparison we have because there are no real stats that have come out for this weapon. So, if we look at the first stat of rate of fire and we compare it to the Dregs Promise, the Trespasser flags slightly slower than the Dregs Promise. However, this doesn't mean that the Trespasser can DPS less than the Dregs Promise, because if we look at the next stat, which is impact, the Trespasser has almost double the impact of the Dregs Promise. That means in close to mid-range situations, the Trespasser is going to be the most effective exotic sidearm that you can use. Moreover, when you use a sidearm, you want a sidearm that ideally has a decent amount of range because you're probably going to be using a long distance weapon. But when you compare the Trespasser to the Dregs Promise, the old exotic sidearm, the Dregs Promise, has more range than the Trespasser. So, although the Trespasser does do more DPS in close quarters situations, if you have a mid quarters situation, the Dregs Promise may be a more effective weapon and could be a more all-round weapon that you can use if you're using a long distance weapon as your primary, like scout rifle. So far the Trespasser sidearm and the Dregs Promise has been very fairly matched opponents of each other, and the Trespasser is seeming like an sidearm which you shouldn't really use in comparison when you could use just a legendary sidearm like the Havoc Pigeon, which gets the job done just fine. But if we look at the next statistic, which is stability, both guns have amazing stability, which is very much expected of a sidearm. The Trespasser has maximum stability if you use, like, if you don't use any perks. But if for my perk, I use reinforced barrel down the middle to give me that extra range because the stability is going to be just perfectly fine and I'm still going to be able to land my shots. But when compared to the Dregs Promise, the stability of the Trespasser is almost the maximum value if you have no perks, like I said. Therefore, it's going to be very much easier for you to land those shots. And if you use reinforced barrel, it's going to be easier to land those shots and land shots against people which are further away, which is very useful. Second of all, the last stat, reload speed. Reload speed, in my opinion, is one of the most important stats on a sidearm because it means that in close quarter situations when you won't be able to use your primary, you have to really depend on your sidearm. So you're gonna need to be able to as many shots as possible. And with reload speed on the Trespasser, it is almost the maximum reload speed, which is just astonishing in comparison to the Dregs Promise, which is just slightly less than the Trespasser. The Trespasser means that you can depend on the sidearm. You can use it as your best friend in close quarters and mid-range situations instead of using your primary, which would be long range weapon. So when we look at the Trespasser and the Dregs Promise, they're at a stalemate in which the Dregs Promise and the Trespasser are the exact same. How do we know which weapon is better at using those 18 bullets? Well, it's simple. We of fire and we see how much in those 18. What we see, and I said that at the beginning of the video when we discussed DPS, that the Trespasser has a lot more DPS, and with those 80 bullets in your magazine, you can get a lot more done. You can damage a lot more people and kill more people in that magazine. So, in conclusion, the Trespasser and the Dregs Promise are very similar sidearms, but given the choice if you could choose the Trespasser or the Dregs Promise, it's a no-brainer to choose the Trespasser because even though it has a slower fire rate, the impact more than makes up for it, meaning it's going to be a very effective perk. And when we take perk, which is unrepeatable, reloading after a kill causes the next burst to be powerful super burst, which means that if you your next 6 bullets will be, your next 4 bullets will have the ability to kill, meaning you can almost one burst someone with your next super burst, which is very useful in situations of close quarters, which is when you're going to be using your sidearm, meaning that this sidearm does its job perfectly, and means that you will never ever be in a situation where you cannot defend yourself against other opponents in the Crucible. However, this weapon I don't recommend using VE because it's just going to be useless. If you did enjoy the review, please drop a like, comment in the comment section down below, and I will try to get you guys some gameplay of this weapon. But I'm not sure the gameplay would be really that useful because other YouTubers like nkuch and nkuch already have like released gameplay of this weapon and are much better than me. So I'll just put a link to their gameplays in the comment section so you can view it. It's been me, A2 Gaming. Hope you have a very, very nice day. Goodbye.